The Lost Art with Andrew Cox podcast. Marine Corps League and Till Valhalla Project Ambassador. Now streaming on all major podcast platforms. Thanks for tuning in to the podcast that's given a voice to our veterans. The Lost Art with Andrew Cox. Hello, my friends, and welcome back to the Lost Art Podcast, that podcast giving a voice to our veterans. I'm your host, Andrew Cox, and today we're having a veteran story. But before we get into the episode, are you enjoying the podcast? Then make sure you go to the website. That's thelostart.podbean.com. Go check us out, see what we're all about. There are a couple ways that you can help support the podcast. You can go to that. Website. There's a one-time donation link. You can become a patron with a monthly donation. And you can also go and purchase some cool gear. And if you have a business or you want to advertise something, you can advertise right here on the podcast. A big shout out to the Till Valhalla Project. Make sure you're going and supporting them. Go check out all the stuff that they got going on. Help them through their mission and do everything we can to help support them and keep them going. That will be tillvalhallaproject.com. Are you a Marine veteran? Are you missing that bond you had on active duty? Then I have a place for you. Join the only congressionally chartered Marine Corps Veteran Service Organization, the Marine Corps League. Get that brother and sisterhood back in your life. Become one of the fewer, the prouder, a Marine Corps League member. All right, we are back here. I got my special guest here. This is Bryce West. Bryce, how you doing?
I'm doing well. How are you doing, Master Guns?
Oh, man, I'm doing fantastic. I get to sit here and chat with you for a while. So, yeah, things are looking up.
Good deal.
Well, Bryce,
looking forward to it.
Yeah, well, let's start at the beginning for you. It's like, where did you grow up? And then what drew you to military service?
All right, so I'm from Jackson, Tennessee, born here. But then my family, before I started third grade, we moved to Chapel Hill, Tennessee, which is just south of Nashville in Marshall County. And so my dad actually worked for the state park system. So I grew up on Henry Horton State Park. And so was there through high school. Graduated Forest High School there in Chapel Hill in 81. And
Very nice.
Jackson's always been home, though. Grandparents, aunts, uncles lived here. We were always coming back for all kinds of reunions and things like that. And then my mother had moved back after I graduated high school. She moved back, and so when I got out of the service, I came back to Jackson. I've been here ever since 86.
Oh, wow. That's awesome. So what was it that kind of sparked your interest in joining the Marine Corps?
Yeah, so crazy thing, never was recruited, never saw recruiters of any branch come into our school that I can remember. But I'm an open book, so I went to community college. Columbia State. I was enrolled there. I didn't attend very well, but I was enrolled. And so I got put on academic probation, and then got put on academic dismissal. And, that's when I went to my advisor, and my advisor, I'll never forget, I handed him the letter, and I'm like, you got to fix this, and he leaned back, and he just looked at me. He said, boy, I can't help you. He said, you got some growing up to do. I was like, dang, man. He was right. I got some growing up to do.
I love it.
And so anyway, back then, there was a guy, and I'm not going to, I'm not going to name names, but, I want to protect the innocent, so I'll make up names. But anyway, there was a kid, and he was always in trouble. I mean, he hunted
Yeah.
trouble. He stayed in trouble, did bad things, and all that kind of good stuff. And back in the '80s, I guess judges, had a little leeway, and they'd say you're either going to go to jail or you're going to go into the Corps,
Mm-hmm.
And so, and he chose the Corps, and I saw him. After he had graduated, and I saw him in his alphas actually, and at an event, and I went up and I talked to him, and I tell you what, I saw a transformation in that young man that I didn't think was possible. I just figured,
Yeah.
he's just going to be a screw up his entire life, Um, but the Corps gave him a purpose, and the Corps gave his life meaning, and so anyway, I was thoroughly impressed with that. And so after about a week of my little pity party after I got kicked out of school, I walked into the recruiter's office. I'd come back. My mom was here in Jackson. I came back, and so anyway, the recruiter's office was here on North Highland, and I just walked in and I said, "Sign me up, boys. I don't want to go delayed entry. I want to go right now. My mind's made up." And because I just thought, and I was a good kid. I mean, I was a poor student, but I was a good kid. I mean, I was an
Yeah.
Eagle Scout. I mean, I didn't, but just fell into some poor stuff, life
Mm-hmm.
choices, and anyway, so flunked out my freshman year of school. And so anyway, like just sign me up. Now I wasn't a big kid by any means. I mean, I
Right.
probably weighed about 110 pounds soaking wet. And so anyway, I'll never forget, there was a pull-up bar in there, and there was a gunnery sergeant. He said, "Get on that pull-up bar." So I got up there, and I did 5, 6, 7, 8 pull-ups. I don't know how many I did, but anyway, he said, "Get down," and we started doing paperwork. And 2 weeks later, I was at
Oh,
Paris
wow.
Island.
No kidding. Wow.
Yeah,
That's a
yeah, I
quick
was at.
transition.
Yeah, yeah. I'll never forget the recruiter. They put me on the bus to go to the MEP station in Memphis, and
Yeah.
so he gave me 2 bunches of bananas, and he said, "You eat every one of those bananas." He said, "And you don't go to the bathroom, don't go to the head until
Yeah.
you're done with your physical." And I guess because I was right there on the borderline of weight, and anyway,
Oh,
so I
right.
made the weight, didn't have to have any waivers, and off I go. Yeah.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
That is insane. 2 weeks. Now,
Mm-hmm.
did you have military in your family, or were you kind of
So
paving the way?
yeah, so my dad, he was Army,
Okay.
and he was in the Army, and he was at a ammunitions depot in France.
Yeah.
I think where he did his tour, and then he got out with a GI Bill. He went to Union University here in Jackson, and got his degree, and so anyway, that he was Army. I had an uncle by marriage. My mom's sister married a Marine, and so anyway, he was on embassy duty in England, and
Oh,
I
wow.
saw pictures of their wedding, with all the cross swords. I mean, all the honors and everything. They got married over there in England, and so, but those were the only two connections that I knew of at the time.
Yeah.
As far as military goes, I've since done a bunch of ancestry.com stuff, and got records of kinfolk going back to the Civil War, that kind of thing. But yeah.
Right.
Hmm.
Wow. Interesting. So talk to me about, okay, 2 weeks, you're going
Yep.
in, you're
Yep.
going down. What, did you go to Paris Island?
Paris
Right?
Island.
Yeah,
Yep.
okay. So you go down to Paris Island. Let's talk me through like your first couple of days there at Paris Island. What's going through your mind, and excitement or maybe a little
Hmm.
fear.
Hmm. Well, it's kind of funny, and I don't mean to take a dark path or anything like that, but my dad, he was pretty tough dude, and he didn't take anything, off of anybody, off his kids or anything. You know, I mean, so when I got to Paris Island, all this screaming and yelling, I was kind of like, well, I'm kind of used to that, you know, all that in your face, knife hand and all that. I'm like, well, you know, I've had worse, you know.
Right. So that wasn't too bad then.
Yeah, it wasn't too bad. But you know, so you know, you go through receiving, obviously, and they're keeping you up for 24, 48 hours, however long they keep us up, you know, and then you get into your platoon, and so I assume that our drill instructors and senior, they all look at all your enlistment paperwork, and they kind of go through, and so they saw that I've been to college for a year. Now they didn't probably look at the fine print that I flunked out of college, but he's been to college. They made me the scribe, so I was the scribe, the platoon scribe.
Okay.
So I did all their paperwork, all the reporting, all that kind of good stuff. So there may be some perks in that. I don't know, but anyway, yeah. So I was made scribe. So my rack was right up front, right across from the quarterdeck. So because the duty hut was right there. So I spent a tremendous amount of time on the quarterdeck because my rack was right across on the quarterdeck, and I'm just smiling and laughing at everybody that's on the quarterdeck. So I had to join them all the damn time, So yeah, that was my life there.
Okay. Now, were there some big ticket items from boot camp, like something that stands out to you? Other than the quarterdeck.
Okay, you're gonna hear a story here. So
all right, I'm ready.
All right, yeah, you've never heard a story like this. I'm just gonna be honest with you. So you have right before graduation. I graduated on tax day, April 15th, 1983. And so you have that day before graduation, where if you got parents and siblings and stuff, they come, and you get to introduce them, right? So I get to introduce my mother and my two sisters. I have a brother as well, but my mom and my two sisters come down for graduation, and so I'm introducing my mother and my sisters to my senior drill instructor, my drill instructors, my series commander, assistant commander, platoon gunny, all those. I'm introducing them just like every kid out there is doing the same thing, right? Yeah, you just introduce them because these are the guys that made me into a Marine. I don't know what went on at the Holiday Inn in Beaufort, South Carolina that night, but my series assistant commander ends up marrying one of my sisters.
Oh, are you serious? No kidding.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Oh,
I got
man, that's awesome.
I got meritorious PFC right out of boot camp, and at their wedding, I still have PFC chevrons on. That's how fast that happened.
Oh, wow. Yeah, that's pretty quick.
Yeah. Yes.
Wow.
I don't think anybody out there, well, they maybe, but I don't know of anybody that I've heard that come across that has that story to tell. But that's what
I definitely have never heard that story. That's for sure.
Yeah,
it's pretty good.
Yeah. He retired a colonel. They're married today. Yeah. So yeah, good deal. So they owe their entire marriage and life to me.
That's right. I hope they recognize that too,
Yep.
So after boot camp, right? You went 10 days boot leave or something like that?
Yeah. Went in open contract. Got leave, and then went to armor school in Fort Knox, Kentucky. So I went in. I got 1811. Yeah, tanks.
Okay.
Yeah, tank. Yeah, it was tanker. Yeah.
Oh, tanks. Okay. Yeah.
Tanks. Yeah.
And where did you go? You said you went where?
Fort Knox, Kentucky was where armor school was back then. Yep.
Yeah.
And, they moved it to, I think, Fort Benning before the commandant got rid of tanks.
Right.
That's okay. That's another story.
It's unfortunate. I really enjoyed tanks. I was not a tanker, but I enjoyed looking at them and listening and watching. So, yeah. Well, talk me through some of the, like, your schoolhouse. What was that like for you? Was it good, bad? and anything that may have stood out?
Yeah. So armor school. So the Army already had M1s, and that was their deal. I'm an old guy, so we had M60s.
Mm-hmm.
So so we that was our tank up until I guess Gulf War One. I think, and the Marines transitioned over to M1s after that.
Right.
But anyway, it's the only time I ever had an Army platoon sergeant. Had a sergeant first
Hmm.
class Bell, if I'm not mistaken, and he put us through the paces. And he rolled his sleeves like we did. He was Army, but he rolled his sleeves. He's like, if
Oh,
I'm going to
really?
be, yeah, yeah. He's like, if I'm going to be in charge of Marines, I'm going to roll my sleeves like you do. And
Yeah.
nobody questioned him. He was a big dude. Nobody. No, nobody's like, you can't do that. No,
Right.
they're like, yeah, you go ahead there. Yeah. So, but anyway, he would PT us. My gosh, and there was a couple of hills there called Agony and Misery at Fort Knox, and oh my
I love
gosh,
it.
used to run us up and down those things. I mean, your thighs would be on fire, your lungs would be on fire, but he's out there running us, and you weren't going to quit.
Right.
There was not a Marine out there that was going to quit while this Army guy's
Yeah.
PTing you. So yeah, yeah, yeah.
Exactly. Oh man,
Hmm.
that sounds. What was it? Misery and what was the other one?
Agony and
Agony and
misery,
misery.
agony and misery. Yeah, there's some hills out
Yeah.
there at Fort Knox. Yeah.
Very nice. I'm loving that.
Hmm.
So,
Yeah, yeah.
as far as learning the what you were doing, your job and everything, how long was
Hmm.
that school?
It's a good. 6 weeks, maybe 6, 9 weeks, something like that.
Okay.
Yeah, I'd have to look back, but anyway, I was there for a minute.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, and you got to learn all the the jobs, driver, loader, gunner,
Hmm.
those three. Not tank. They didn't teach you to be a tank commander,
Right.
obviously you gotta know how to drive the tank and load. You gotta be able to fire the thing. You gotta you gotta cross train on all those kind of applications there.
Right.
But
Yeah.
yeah, and I'll never forget. First time we were at the range. So, I'm in the loader's position,
Okay.
and so anyway, I didn't know any better. I'm just a crayon eater, just kind of, just green as can be, on these things. And so
Yeah.
anyway, they fire the tank, and when the main gun, 105 millimeter cannon, when it recoils and ejects the casing there, I caught it. Yeah, that
Oh,
was the wrong
geez.
thing to do.
Oh my
Thing was
God.
that was the wrong thing to do. It burnt the crap out of me. My gosh, man! Both my arms
Oh
had
man.
burns on both my arms. I
Yeah.
had to go to the hospital and deal with that. It was it
Oh,
was kind of
geez.
one of those things. Yeah, it was stupid, stupid, stupid. Mm,
Wow. Yeah,
yeah, I mean,
that's bad.
yeah,
That
I mean, I
hurts.
could hear it. I could hear it sizzle. I mean, I just cradled it. It just came right out. I was like,
Oh
and then I just heard sizzles. It sounded like bacon frying. I was like, and I dropped it. Burnt the
God.
shit out of me. But
Oh my
anyway,
gosh. Yeah.
yeah.
That's definitely a good memory.
Hmm.
You'll always remember
But
that one.
exactly. I mean, that's the thing. I mean, you make mistakes and you learn. You learn by your mistakes. That was a good one to learn from. Never caught that
Yeah,
again.
that's true.
Yeah, not gonna do
Yeah,
that
good
again.
point.
Yeah,
All right.
yeah. The
So
M1.
oh
Go
yeah,
ahead.
go ahead.
I
No,
was
no,
gonna
no.
say the M1s. That the casing. I guess it just the only thing that comes out is just like the cap on the end.
Hmm.
They figured out a way to I guess it disintegrates in the gun tube whenever it fires. But yeah, we had
Wow.
big tall casings that came out in those old
Hmm.
N60s. Yeah,
Wow.
yeah.
So when you were getting ready to leave, where
Mm.
did they give you orders to? Because there's only so many places that you'd be able to go, right?
Yeah. So I went to Camp Lejeune. That's where Second Tank Battalion, Second More
Hmm.
Div. So that's where they sent me. Got to Lejeune. I'm guessing. Around August.
Hmm.
Around August, I think. Somewhere maybe end of August, early September, somewhere in that vicinity. I got till June, and
Right.
got immediately. And if history, in '83 we were in Beirut. We were on
Yeah.
a peacekeeping mission in Beirut.
Mm-hmm.
Lebanon was in a civil war,
Mm-hmm.
and so we were there for a NATO peacekeeping mission, and I immediately got put into a platoon that was headed to Beirut.
Wow.
And up until the point joining the Corps, I mean, I was really kind of oblivious, really, as a young kid, to
Right.
world events and things that were going on, outside of my little bubble. I
Mm-hmm.
was really, really kind of oblivious to those things, and so, anyway, it was like, oh, yeah, okay, sure, we're cross training. We went to Fort Pickett, Virginia, and we cross trained
Mm.
on old M48 tanks, because
Oh,
apparently
wow.
the Lebanese army had M48s, and we cross trained on those. And so we went through all the paces and went through all our training and everything, getting ready to go to
Mm-hmm.
Beirut, because that's what the med cruise had turned into. So it was a
Okay.
6-month rotation
Yeah.
at Beirut. So in October of '83, obviously the Marine barracks was bombed and
Mm-hmm.
killed 280 something Marines and sailors, and so
Right.
Reagan pulled us out. And so
Mm-hmm.
after that, our tour was, we loaded up at Morehead City
Mm-hmm.
in February of '84. And then we headed over there, and it just turned back into a regular mid cruise after that.
Okay.
Yeah. So
Now, did you actually make it there? And like, were you doing things in Beirut? Like,
no, never,
what was
no,
going
no.
on?
So Reagan
No.
had pulled us out. I mean, we
Mm-hmm.
completely got out of
Okay.
Beirut, and I think the rest of that that 6-month tour, that they just set off the coast, and then they came back,
Got
and
it.
then we replaced them. Yeah.
Yeah.
So it was
Okay.
the 24th MEU, maybe 22nd MEU, 24th MEU. I have to look back.
Yeah.
I'm old, but anyway, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that
So.
changed my whole trajectory in the Corps.
Mm-hmm.
That bombing did. Otherwise, would have been in Beirut for 6 months and come back and then gone on to the
Right.
next thing. But yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm a
Wow.
Cold War guy. Never been shot at.
Mm-hmm.
Never been in harm's way like some of these guys have. All my stories are funny bar stories. They're not. I don't have. I lost my friends. In this
Right.
campaign. That I don't have any stories like that.
That's
You know.
okay. That's all
Yeah.
right.
Mm-hmm.
The sea stories is where it's at. And,
Mm-hmm.
just about every story I tell is maybe have a smidge of, making up stuff, fibbing a little bit or something. You got to make his story interesting, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's true. So I'll tell you. So I'm gonna back up a little bit. So
Okay.
in boot camp, my senior,
Hmm.
I'm in there in the duty hut one day, and so just paperwork, whatever, just doing some stuff. Anyway,
Right.
so I referred to him as drill instructor, staff sergeant so and so, instead of senior drill instructor, staff sergeant so
Right.
and so. Anyway, and he's just sitting at the desk, and he's in his chair, and he gives me a gut shot. I didn't even see it coming. I wasn't prepared for nothing, man. I mean, hits me in the gut, and I hit the deck, man. I can't breathe. I'm like I'm just like just, and there's not any air in my lungs at all. And
Right.
then he starts standing on me screaming because I broke the position of attention and stuff. So I'm jumping back up, getting off the deck, and I'm standing up, and he leans back in his chair, and he's got this Cheshire cat eating grin on his face, and he's like, "West, I've been good to you, haven't I?" And I was like, "Sir, yes, sir." I still can't talk. And he's like, I've never laid a hand on you, have I? I was like, sir, no, sir. And he said, West, I love loyalty. I said, sir, yes, sir. He said, open up that fridge. And there was a little, dorm room fridge in there in the duty hut. And so anyway, opened it up and he said, get a Coke out. I got a Coke out. He said, open it up. He said, now kill it. And I was like, oh, go, just killing this damn Coke. I mean, because obviously on the island, you don't get anything like that at all,
Right.
And I killed that Coca-Cola, right? And then threw it in the trash can. He's like, get the fuck out of my office. So I go off, right? And I don't think any ill will about that. I mean, I don't think it's a funny story. That's all I think about. It's just hilarious, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, I tell that story to my brother-in-law who's still on the drill field, and man, shit happened after that, man. I was like, dude, I'm just telling stories, man. Come on now. But anyway, apparently he got in some trouble over that. I don't,
No kidding.
But yeah. He got in some trouble because now he was an attorney. So my brother-in-law Bert. Oh, I said his name. Sure, shit. Anyway, so my brother-in-law, an attorney by trade. Okay, so he worked. He was a judge advocate. He worked base legal. So anyway, he stayed on drill field. I go to Armor School, then I go to Lejeune. Then go on a med cruise. They go to San Diego, I think, and then I come back. I go and visit them in San Diego. Then go to CAX, go to 29 Palms. Tanks were always going to Fort Pickett, Virginia, and we'd train up there for 3 months, come back, go up, go back on another med cruise. So finally, there was a time where I'm at Lejeune and he's at Lejeune. They're at Lejeune.
Okay.
And so I'm at the tank park one day, just minding my business, just working on the tank. I was maintaining the batteries, which are in the floor, the bottom of the turret, the gun turret. And so there's a hatch you open up, and I'm just doing maintenance, right? So anyway, unbeknownst to me, the phone rings there in the office of Delta Company Second Tanks. And so my platoon sergeant answers the phone. Delta Company, Second Tanks, this is Staff Sergeant, blah, blah, blah. Can I help you? And it's like, Staff Sergeant, blah, blah, blah. This is Captain Nunley over here at Base Legal. Do you have a Lance Corporal West there? Yes, sir, I do. Can you get him on the phone? Yes, sir, I will. And he puts the phone down and comes out of the office screaming my name. I mean, Lance Corporal West, and I'm in the tank, and I hear him screaming my name, and I'm like, God, what now, So I get up, I stick my head out of the loader's hatch, and he's on the deck, and his face is red. I mean, he looks like he's about to have a stroke. I mean, his veins are popping out. He's like, there's Captain Dudley on the phone. What the fuck have you done? Just screaming at me,
Oh man.
I know what the deal is. So I just climb out of the loader's hatch and I plop down onto the fender and I jump down onto the deck and I'm walking into the office and he's right on my ass just screaming, well, you better tell me what you've done, and I just walk in there, So I pick up the phone and I'm like, this is Lance Corporal West. Can I help you? He said, Bryce, it's your brother-in-law Bert. Your sister wants to know if you can come over for dinner tonight. And I was like, yes, sir, I can come over for dinner. What time would you like me to be there? Oh my gosh, man! Let me tell you, I paid for that, but let me tell you, it was so worth it. So
man, that's pretty good. I like that.
It was handy having a brother-in-law that was an attorney. For the
yeah. Well, tell me about doing some of your training events that you did. Up in where did you say Virginia, and then you went out to Stumps as well?
Right, yeah. So we'd go to Fort Pickett, Virginia, and we would train up there. I mean, thing about it is, I mean, as far as tanks go, and probably for grunts too and stuff like that. So if you're in Lejeune, and we would go out to the field, I mean, these guys had been out there 1,000 times, and to
Hmm.
them it was just like knowing the streets that you grew up on. Oh, you
Right. Yeah.
turn here, you go here, turn. And they weren't using any kind of land nav or anything like that. So it's
Hmm.
good, to go to somewhere that you're not familiar with, that you
Yeah.
actually have to
Absolutely.
use, maps and grids and things like that. So we go to Fort Pickett and we train up there, and we would be up there in these old wooden World War II barracks with no AC, just big
Oh
old
yeah.
fans, great big fans blowing on you,
Hmm.
and but anyway, we go up there. It was about an hour outside of Richmond, Virginia. I
Okay.
think I'm trying to think of the little town. It wasn't Blackstock, because that's where Virginia Tech is.
Mm,
Anyway,
yeah. I'm not sure.
anyway, little bitty town outside there, but yeah, we would go up there. We'd load all our tanks. We'd load them up on railhead, which is fun.
Okay.
Because
That that
yeah,
seems like it'd be
loading,
a little scary.
it is scary. If you've got a driver that doesn't know what he's doing, yeah, you
Oh,
could, yeah, you could really ruin somebody's day, because at the end of the day, when you load tanks on railhead, the the trailer that the train uh, uh, that the tanks are on, they're not as
mhm.
wide as the tank. So the treads actually hang off on both sides.
No
So if you're
kidding.
just off a little bit, you're gonna do this. You're gonna flip one. So yeah.
Wow.
So you really had to have nerves of steel, and really had to rely on, the guy on the ground giving you hand signals,
Right. Yeah.
because you can't see. You're actually backing into these things, and so yeah. It was an
Oh
ordeal for
God.
sure. But we would load them up on railhead, and yeah,
Wow.
and
Now,
take them
did
up
you
there to
ever
Fort
see
Pickett.
any
Yeah,
like
and then
any
we'd stay up
accidents or
there
anything
for.
on that? Did you ever see any accidents or
Did I
anything
ever see any what
mishaps?
now? Nope,
Mishaps
nope,
whenever they were loading?
nope.
Okay.
Heard stories, but never saw him.
Yeah.
Nope,
Well, that's good then.
never saw, never heard. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Wow.
So they trained us well at Fort Knox, I guess. I heard stories, but I never witnessed any.
Yeah. All right. Well, now those were
But
live fire ranges when you
yeah,
would go up there?
yeah,
Am I cutting
yeah,
in and
we
out?
did.
Yeah.
hmm
Yeah.
No, you're fine. It's funny too,
Okay.
because back then it's so funny, because I saw a commercial the other day that it was like, for the military. Did you wear these faulty hearing protection devices? You could be entitled to compensation. Call this number today. And I'm like,
Right.
hearing protection? We would fluff up. We would take cigarette butts and fluff up the cigarette butt and stick them in our ears. That was our hearing protection.
Holy moly.
Yeah, yeah. Hearing
Yeah, that's
protection. Yeah.
yeah, I don't think
hmm
that would pass the what is it, the OSHA
Yeah,
inspection, the cigarette butts.
yeah. No, no, but that's what we did. Yeah.
Oh man.
But yeah, did those things. I did 2 med cruises. Went back over when Gaddafi was rattling his saber in Libya. And
Hmm.
he had that bay. He had that whatever parallel it was, and like you cross it, you die. Well, there was a whole Navy fleet out there.
Yeah.
Just itching to go. Take him out. And so on that med cruise, they sounded general quarters one night, middle of the night, sounded general quarters, and we all went down on our tanks, and I was on the Hermitage, USS Hermitage, and
Okay.
so tanks, they're on LCUs in the well
Hmm.
deck, these amphibious landing ships, And so, our tanks are on the LCU. So, we all had to go down there and get on our tanks. And then we unloaded a full combat load of ammo, not training
Oh,
rounds. And
wow.
I'm like, oh, okay. All right. So something's up. Don't know what,
Yeah.
something's up. So anyway, we sat down there in the well deck, with our tanks running with a full combat load of 50 cal, M60, Sabo rounds, heat rounds, AP rounds, Willipede, all that kind
Wow.
of good stuff, all night long. And then finally in the morning, the captain came over the 1MC, and he at secure general quarters after they secured it and said that we'd just bombed Libya that night. So they gave the Air Force that
Oh,
gig
wow.
that night.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we bombed the palace,
Ah.
killed one of his sons, I think. But
Hmm.
anyway, I think after that, I think Gaddafi was our guy. I think he's like, yes,
Yeah.
America, whatever you say. I'm on board. I'm on board.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
No kidding.
Yeah, so I guess
Wow.
we were Plan B. Plan B never did have to materialize. So
Yeah.
again, that was my tour. That
Hmm.
never really in harm's way.
Now you did 4 years total?
I did. Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. Got out. I was home for Christmas on terminal leave. I was home for Christmas, 1986.
Very nice.
Mm-hmm.
Very
Yeah.
nice.
Yeah.
Now, and
Mm-hmm.
we didn't talk about this earlier, but now what you were a lance corporal. When
Yeah.
did you pick up corporal?
On the second med cruise, picked up corporal.
The
Yeah.
second med cruise. Okay.
Yeah, I got meritorious PFC out of boot camp, meritorious Lance
Hmm.
Corporal, and then I picked up Corporal in '85 on my second med cruise. Yeah,
Gotcha.
yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Wow. Man, I like it. And now
hmm
talk to me about like once you finished your tour, you go back home. What is it that you end up doing? Like talk through a little bit up to where we are now.
Gotcha. All right, so I went from being a tanker to being a banker. I'm a commercial. Yeah, so I'm a commercial lender for a regional bank, $50 billion
Okay.
regional bank here in the southeast. I've been with them since, matter of fact, 9/11 was my first day in my office at this bank.
Wow.
Yeah. So got uh, the I worked at a prior bank. I spent 10 years in the finance company industry.
Mhm.
After school, was a much better student after the Marine Corps. So yeah, that just
Hey,
goes to
well,
show
it
you
paid off.
it works. It worked. You know, much better student. You know, so didn't need as many crayons. So anyway, spent 10 years in the consumer finance industry, and lending money there, and then transitioned over to banking in '96 it was, and worked for a small bank from '96 to 2001, and then got hired with the bank that I'm still with today in 2001, and so go there, and my boss asked me three questions,
Mhm.
uh, and he said, "What was my loan portfolio size?" Because I was a lender. Want to know how many I had in loans. Want to know what I could realistically pull from the bank that I was working at to their bank, because that's what makes us money. And then when I gave him those two answers, he said, "When can you start?" And I said, "Well, I got to give him a 2 week notice," and so I did. And so Monday, September 10th is my hire date. So I went downtown, filled out a bunch of HR paperwork, things like that,
Mhm.
and so then at lunch, my boss, the bank president, took me around. Oh, he took me to lunch, and then after lunch, he took me to meet all the other uh, officers of the bank, lenders,
Mhm.
and so met all those guys and gals, and then didn't even get to my location that day, and so my first day in my office was 9/11, and so
Wow.
that was a crazy day. and
Mm-hmm.
I told my boss, I said, you hired me and you almost lost me on the same day. I mean, because I'm ready to go back,
Yeah.
So, but
Wow.
anyway, that's just kind of the way the ball bounces.
Right.
But anyway, it turned
Hmm.
out to be, that horrible event, had another chain reaction of things because, at the time, as a lender, we're tied to the prime rate. Fed sets,
Right.
the Federal Reserve sets prime, and so prime before 9/11 was like at 8%. And then prime they dropped it overnight. Because they thought the economy was going to crash because
Right.
of the World Trade Center bombings, and so they dropped it to like 4%, overnight, which is unheard of. And
Now,
so,
is that good or bad?
well, it was great, because you can now borrow money cheaper. That's the
Cool.
whole thing about the Fed. You can borrow money cheaper. So the more borrowing that's going on, more money is being spent and things like that. So
Mm-hmm.
credit card rates come down, borrowing rates come
Gotcha.
down, everything comes down, and so that's the tool that the Fed has in order to keep the economy going. And so
Right.
in inflationary periods, which we just experienced in inflationary periods, they raise prime rate. They want to cool the economy down. They want to slow it down.
Mm-hmm.
They don't want you to spend. They want you to save your money. So they
Mm.
raise rates. So CD rates, money market rates, everything, those rates, go up. So that gets the American public saving money more instead of putting it into the economy. Because if you keep spending
Right.
in an inflationary, then it gets into hyperinflation, and
Mm.
not to have an economic lesson while we're sitting here talking, but
No,
but
that's all
that's
good. I'm
yeah.
sure other people are curious about it.
But anyway, so that's it. So the Fed on 9/11, or not the 12th, I guess, they dropped the interest rates down. So it was really, really unfair because to my previous bank, because all the loans that I had at that bank over there that were priced at 8 and 9 and 10 and 11%, I could suddenly price them at 6 and 7 and 7.5%. So
Mm-hmm.
I was taking payoff checks to that my previous bank. Just, I mean, every day I was like, hey, I can do this now, and they were like, yeah, let's do it. So
Wow.
yeah, yeah, I was
Hmm.
like I was putting loans on the books as fast as I could, which was
Right.
that's my
Yeah.
job. That's what I'm paid to
Mm-hmm.
do. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Absolutely.
yeah, been doing
And
that
it.
ever since.
Yeah. And
Hmm.
so you've been with the same bank though since then.
That's right. I have. Yeah, hadn't changed.
Wow.
Gonna
Well,
retire there in about 5 or 6 more years.
very nice. Well, tell me
Hmm.
a little bit about how you got involved in the Marine Corps League.
The Marine Corps League. All right, so yeah, I mean, I love the Marine Corps League. Yeah, and my first exposure to the Marine Corps League was not that great, actually. I had spent I told you 10 years in the consumer finance industry, and so
Mm-hmm.
I worked in an office in Marion, Illinois. For 3.5 years, I was up there in Marion, Illinois, which is the southern tip of Illinois,
Okay.
and I was at a finance company office, and so worked with an appraiser there that was he was a Marine veteran, and so
Mm-hmm.
he invited me to the Marine Corps ball, their Marine Corps League ball that was at the
Mm-hmm.
Knights of Columbus Hall there in Marion, Illinois. And
Mm-hmm.
so I went. And this was probably 80, no, excuse me, 98, 90, yeah, 97,
Okay.
98, somewhere in there. And so, no, excuse me, 95, 95. And so I went, and I don't mean to disparage anyone, that went through Vietnam and the things that they did, but it was a Debbie Downer night. It was, I mean, they were just, talking about their experiences, and it was,
Right.
and so, I just like, he asked me to join, and I'm like, no, that's not for me.
Right.
I just didn't really, think that was my thing.
Mm-hmm.
So, come back to Tennessee, get into banking, and then in 2000, there was a Marine Corps League in Jackson, Tennessee, and it was
Mm-hmm.
chartered in the 90s. They were the West Tennessee Detachment. They were chartered in the 90s, and they had about 70 members.
Okay.
But by the end of the decade, by 2000, they were defunct. They were
Wow.
meeting at a VFW. It was just turning into, just going up there and just, chugging beers and swapping stories.
Right.
Nobody's doing anything. And so it all fell apart.
Mm-hmm.
And in 2003, Tennessee has three divisions. They have the Western Division, Central, and Eastern Division. Those are three
Right.
grand divisions of the state of Tennessee. And so the league, the Department of Tennessee, has division vice commandants for those
Mm-hmm.
areas.
Okay.
So there was a gentleman by the name of Jim Kern, who was a member of the Walter K. Singleton Detachment out of Memphis, and he started coming up to Jackson because it was his job. That's the job of
Mm-hmm.
division vices, is to help struggling detachments, or to help get
Right.
started new detachments, that kind of thing. So he starts coming up to Jackson. And so in 2003, the roster for the Marine Corps League had 8 guys on it. They were the life
Oh wow.
members. They were just the life members, guys that had paid their life dues, and that was it.
Mm-hmm.
So he started with them, and then through networking and things, he was finding other people.
Mm-hmm.
Somehow my name got in there, and so we started. I started coming to meetings, and at that time we were meeting at a local CPA office.
Oh wow.
One of the members was a CPA at this firm, and so we were meeting in a boardroom that had
Mm-hmm.
a table that sat 10 people, and so
Right.
we were meeting there, and 4 people would show up, and then 2 people would show up, and then 8 people would show up, and then and it was a struggle. It really was.
Mm-hmm.
And then finally, something clicked, and we just started, getting after it, and we got to 20 members, and then got to 30 members, and
Right.
and started growing, and doing things, and fundraising, and getting active, and doing the things, participating on the department level,
Mm-hmm.
participating on the division level, and on national level, and things like that. And now we boast over 120 members, and
Oh
so
wow.
it's a fantastic unit, and our detachment is doing great things. We
Mm-hmm.
do a golf tournament. That's our fundraiser every year.
Yeah.
I'm paymaster. Bankers. If you're the banker, here's the checkbook. Take the checkbook.
Yeah.
That's the thing.
Yeah.
So I've got, oh my gosh, I got so many checkbooks that I have to deal with, because they just want the banker to keep the money.
Right.
It's not just the Marine Corps League. I've been member of Rotary. I've been member of Exchange Club. I've been member of the Civitan organization. These civic groups. I've been a past president of the Exchange Club and things like that, and in the bank, because of the banking world, and
Yeah.
and so I tell people, we do Toys for Tots, and so I go
Mm-hmm.
to these other civic groups, and I do talk about Toys for Tots. And so anyway, and I talk about the Marine Corps League, and I always tell them, because there's a lot of misconception out there about, veteran service organizations, like VFWs and American Legions and Marine Corps Leagues. They just think, these civic groups like Rotary and Exchange Club and Civitan Club and Lions Club and Kiwanis Club, they don't look at us as peer groups. And, and I tell them when I go and speak that we are absolutely no different than these other civic organizations.
Right.
We meet regularly, we fundraise, and then we have a mission that we give back to. And that's all
Right.
these other those civic groups, same thing. They meet regularly, they do fundraiser, and they give back and they support their mission. I said,
Yeah.
the only thing that separates us from a Rotary Club or an Exchange Club or a Kiwanis Club is that we're all trained to kill. That's the only difference.
Yeah.
So I just tell them that.
It's a good point. Good point.
Yeah, yeah. I get good laughs. I get good laughs at that when I tell them, because they just have misconceived notions of what it is that a veteran
Right.
service organization does versus a civic organization.
Right.
But anyway,
yeah.
I preach that. We're no different. Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
No, that's good. We always want to push the Marine Corps League and try to get as many members as possible. So
yeah, and
that's one of the
sorry, go ahead. And I get to see, because I'm the paymaster for the Southeast Division. I'm on the Marine Corps League Foundation board. So I get to see, from a 10,000 foot view,
right.
and of course coming to national meetings and things like that, I get to see, from that view down, top view down. And I know what our detachment does. I make the budget. I make the budget. I submit it, and we give back a lot. We'll make 25 grand on our golf tournament, and we'll give back 20 of it between donations and programs, and we'll squirrel back about 5 of it, for rainy day.
Right.
And that doesn't count what we do for Toys for Tots. That's a whole different. We got a Toys for Tots coordinator. We do that fundraiser separate. That's a separate bucket of money, but we raise a ton of money for that as well, in toys and everything. We have a huge Toys for Tots program here as well. But so seeing it from that view, down, and I just think about, I'm knowing what our detachment does. And then I think about,
right.
The 18 detachments across the state of Tennessee, the Department of Tennessee. And then I think about, all the detachments across the country, all doing the same things. They're fundraising, they're scholarshiping, JROTC or Young Marines, or, they're writing checks to, veteran charities. They're helping, veterans that are down on their luck. And, the Marine Corps League is a juggernaut of good. I mean, it's just, it is a juggernaut of good, and so, I mean, and I'm proud to be a part of it. Proud to be a part of it.
Yeah, me too. I'm excited. I'm fairly new to it. So, but I'm learning a lot, which is a good deal. So, yeah. And you're right. The amount of stuff that the Marine Corps League is involved with and working on is pretty impressive.
Yeah. We do a poor job of putting that info out there. The American Legion does a fantastic job. I mean, you can go up on their website and you can look, well, we've done this many community service hours, we've done this much in this. We do a poor job of tooting our own horn, so to speak, and we need to toot that horn a little more, a little louder, because again, I see the good. I see the impact that we have in our AO, and so you multiply that by every detachment out there, and it's just, I mean, it's phenomenal. It's a phenomenal thing that what we do. Yeah,
absolutely. Well, heck, thanks for coming on and telling your story. My cat's driving me crazy. Thanks for coming on and telling your
Yep,
story.
I see that.
Yeah, she wants attention,
Mm-hmm.
and she's very demanding. Um,
Mm-hmm.
but yeah, I had a good time. I enjoyed your story. I enjoyed hearing all about it. And thanks
You
for
didn't
talking
hear
about the
all the
Marine Corps
stories.
League.
I held back. You didn't hear all the stories.
Well, we got time. If you want to jump on and tell some more stories, that's okay. So you got another story?
Okay, I'll tell you one. It's
All right.
I can't make this stuff up. Okay, so this is
All
true. All
right.
right, so it was a scary event at the time, but
Uh-huh.
we can laugh about it now. But anyway, so uh, I was out at a party with a friend of
Uh-huh.
mine, and so we were had to go to the field the next day. And
Mm-hmm.
so, and like it's 1 o'clock in the morning, and I was like, dude, we got to go, man. We got formation and we're going to the field. I don't want to be, puking my guts up. We got to go. So anyway, we're coming back on base, and we were on the backside of June coming in,
Mm-hmm.
and so we were on the highway there, and it's 4 lanes, big shoulders on both sides of the highway, big grassy median in the middle, and
Mm-hmm.
me and my friend were heading back to base,
Okay.
and he was from like Detroit, so
Mm-hmm.
an urban kid,
Right.
and so, and I had a little Mazda RX-7, had a little sports car, had a little
Oh,
two-seater
nice.
sports
Okay.
car, yeah. And so, we're coming back on base, and it's Halloween weekend. It's a clear night, big full moon. It's bright as can
Yeah.
be. I got my cruise control set on 65, and we're just talking about the crap that we're about to go through the next day being in the field.
Yeah.
So anyway, see a guy. He is, uh, a click down the road, and he's walking,
Mm-hmm.
and I see him, you know,
Yeah.
and I don't think anything about it, and we're just sitting there talking. So, and I'm in the right hand lane,
Uh-huh.
and he's walking in the shoulder. And so anyway, as we approach him, he turns to stick his thumb out and thumb a ride. I think that's what he was attempting to do, but he
Uh-huh.
stumbled in front of me, and I hit him
Oh
in
my
my
God.
vehicle. I hit him in my vehicle. And
Oh no.
so the guy that was with me, I'll never forget. He didn't even check up. He just looked at me and said, "Dude, don't stop. You just keep driving." And I said, "Oh no,
Oh
hell
God.
no!" I said, "Hell no, no, no." I'm like, "That's not happening," So I stop, and I'm backing up, and I'm backing up. Finally, find the guy. He's in the grass. So he went from the shoulder all the way into the median in the grass, and he's laying there. So I back up, and then I pull up in front of him, and so we get out, and I tell the guy that was with me, I said, "You go down there, you run till you find a house, and you beat on the door. It's pre-cell phone, obviously. I'm like,
Right.
you beat on the door until you wake them up, and you call 911, blah blah blah." So he takes off running. And so again, it's October, it's Halloween weekend, whatever. And
Yeah.
so I got a coat on, and so I take my coat off, and I go up to him, and he's conscious. He's conscious,
Oh wow.
and I put my coat down on him, but his body's broken. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
his body is broken up, and
Yeah.
so it was laying in some positions it should not have been laying in. And so anyway, I tell him, I said, dude, I said, help's on the way. I said, help's on the way. It's, we got you. And he looked up at me, and he kind of focused a little bit, and he said, "Just let me die."
Oh
It's like,
God.
dude, no, you're not dying on me. No,
Yeah.
you know, not gonna happen, man. You're gonna be okay. You're gonna be all right. And so he was trying to move around. I was like, stop moving, just be still, be calm, be still, you know, like help's on the way. So anyway, it wasn't long after state troopers show up, North Carolina
Okay.
state troopers. And state trooper comes up to me, you know, and when he shows up, you know, then I'm just like, I'm in panic mode. I'd had a few beers, you know,
Yeah.
I did, you know, and so anyway, you know, he said, "What happened?" And I was like, "Oh God, he turned, he's thumbed right, he's standing in front of me, and I hit him late." I'm like, you know, I'm in panic mode, you know, and he's like, "Calm down, calm down." So I tell you know, tell him, you know, like he stumbled in front of me and I hit him. I'm like, you know, and so state trooper leans down over the guy and he said, "Son, what's your name?" And he looks at the state trooper and he goes, "Just let me die."
Oh my God.
Trooper,
Wow.
state trooper reaches around and to get a wallet out to get his ID and stuff. When he does, a big old bag of dope falls out.
Oh
And so
no.
he just kind of sets and the guy smell. I mean, you could smell. I mean, like I said, I did have a couple beers, but I mean, he was pretty soused.
Yeah.
And so anyway, paramedics come, ambulance comes, you know, and put air casts on his legs, and I mean, take him
Hmm.
off, and his legs were broken up pretty bad, but he was going to have full recovery. So
Yeah.
good that I wasn't in a Ford F-150 because he'd have been dead.
Yeah.
But because I was in a little Mazda RX-7 where the bumper's only about 7 inches off the ground, I mean, it
Hmm.
just kind of flipped him up over the top,
Yeah.
anyway, so state trooper takes all my information, and then when he's done, he's like, "Okay, you can go." And I was like, "Woo, man!" I took off. I was gone. I was like, "Yeah, yes, sir." And of course, and this was a process of another hour and a half, or so,
Right.
and so anyway, had formation the next morning, and so I didn't think I was in trouble, in the civilian world, but I thought, hell, uniform code of military justice, I could still be in trouble, I don't know.
Yeah.
So anyway, right after formation, I went to my platoon commander and I said, "Lieutenant, I said I need to talk to you." He said, "What is it, Corporal West?" I said, "Well," I said, "I hit a pedestrian last night." He said, "You get in a fight, Corporal West?" I said, "No, sir." I said, "I hit a pedestrian with my vehicle." And he looked at me. He said, "You did what?" I said, "I hit a pedestrian with my vehicle last night." He said, "Civilian or military?" I said, "Civilian." He said, "Did you kill him, Corporal West?" "No, sir." He said, "You need more fucking training, Corporal West. Get out of my face."
Oh, jeez. Wow.
I still have the newspaper article. I still kept
No kidding.
the Oslo paper. It was in the paper. I still have it today.
Oh
Yeah.
my gosh.
But that happened to me, and then,
That's
MPs, my gosh, I mean, so it was a while before insurance pays,
yeah.
settles up, and, and bless the guy, yeah, he was drunk. He was stoned out of his mind. He was drunk, and he stumbled in front of me and I hit him and I felt bad. I mean, I felt bad
Mm.
about it. But my insurance company was like, "We're going to go after him for, damages to your vehicle." I was like, "Come on, man, give him a break." I mean, like, I broke both his legs. I mean, I could, is that not enough? But anyway, so it took a minute for all that to get settled.
Wow.
But I had won tickets from the local radio station to see Rat and Cheap Trick at
Oh,
Virginia
geez.
Beach,
Yeah.
Virginia. So they had concert tickets, and they had you had 2 tickets. They had a charter bus take you up there, charter bus bring you back, and you drink all you want like a fish. Of course, Marines. Obviously, we did.
Yeah.
So I took my buddy with me, Junior, and this was before I got my car repaired. And so anyway, um, we go on the way up there. We're drinking vodka out of our canteen cups. So we're drinking just straight ass vodka out of our canteen cups, like hoorah, man. We're just hard chargers. So and I really, even to this day, I'm not a big drinker. I play a big game, but I'm not a big drinker. I can't hold my weight like other people can.
Yeah.
And so anyway, I before we even get to Virginia Beach, which from Jacksonville to Virginia Beach is a good little trip.
Right.
I pass out. And so anyway, Junior tries to wake me up. I won't wake up. So he ends up going to the concert without me. And so,
oh, jeez.
and so anyway, he, the concert's over. We're on our way back, and I finally wake up, and I'm like, "Are we there yet?" And he's like, "Dude, you missed it. You've been passed out all this time." I was like, "Oh, okay." So I go back to sleep. So anyway, so we get back to Jacksonville early the next morning, and anyway, coming on base, and I get pulled over coming on base. And so, anyway, the MP come up there, and he was telling me about my headlight and all that, and I was like, I'm showing him paperwork and everything. And he goes, "Well, I smell alcohol," and I said, "You damn right you do." I said, "I got hammered drunk yesterday, hammered drunk." I said, "I passed out." I said, "I've been asleep for 12 hours. I missed the concert. Missed everything." I'm like, yeah, I got hammered. I said, I've slept it off, but I probably stink. Yes, absolutely. You smell it. And that MP looked at me like, who is this guy? Man? He's like, "What unit are you with?" I'm like, second tanks. I'm like, I can see them. They're right there. Second tank. He's like, "Get your ass to your barracks right now." He's like, "Don't go, stop anywhere. You just get to your barracks." I was like, okay. But I did. I told him, I was like, "Yeah, I got hammered drunk yesterday." I'm like, "But I've been asleep for like 16 hours. So yeah, I think I've metabolized everything, but I reek. I get it. I do."
Yeah.
But
wow.
yeah, I mean, yeah, that happened too. So those are the kind of stories that I have,
Yeah.
They're all funny. Nothing dark. I mean, the guy's okay. He spent some time in the hospital. Hopefully, he quit drinking after that episode. Hope he learned his lesson. I never made contact with him. Because for insurance purposes, they're like, you can't contact him. Because I did want to go up there. Yeah.
Wow.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Yeah. Those are good stories.
That's me, man.
That's awesome. Well, shoot, at the end of when we come to the end, I always ask some questions from the guests. So I'm gonna jump into that. What is your proudest military? Yeah, what is your proudest military moment?
Graduation boot camp. Just making it. That was. I mean, again, I was just kind of a punk kid. I was an Eagle Scout, wasn't a bad kid, but just, had no direction, had no self-motivation, those kind of things. And so graduating boot camp, obviously, put my whole life on a different trajectory, and I'm thoroughly grateful for that. Yeah.
Very nice. All right. What is your most embarrassing military moment?
Yeah, I've got more embarrassing stories. Most embarrassing. So I guess it would be, on med cruises, obviously, they secure Liberty at like midnight, you got to be back on the boat, if you miss that that curfew, you're kind of screwed a little bit. And
Mm-hmm.
so anyway, we were in Palma de Mallorca, Spain for New Year's, and I hooked up with a English nanny. She was a nanny for a Spanish family there in Palma. And
Mm-hmm.
anyway, the Spanish family, they were vacationing somewhere, so she had the flat all to herself. So, as Marines in Port New, I was with her for several hours past curfew,
Oh no.
and yeah, and so anyway, got back to the boat, and my liberty was secured for the rest of the time, so I never got to see her again. So that was I don't
Yep.
know if that was embarrassing, but anyway, it
Still
was
another good
troublesome.
sea story. Yeah,
It was
troublesome. Yeah, yeah.
troublesome. It was troublesome. Yeah, yeah, yeah. But I always, tried to keep my nose clean. I mean, I did get caught with vodka in my wall locker one time during a surprise inspection, and kind of got in trouble for that a little bit.
Yeah.
I got out with a good cookie. So I had some,
Yeah.
some staff NCOs that kept punishments off of the books, so to speak,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
they would punish me in different ways that
Mm-hmm.
that weren't in writing. So and that was a good thing. So
Yeah. I
uh,
would prefer that over getting in trouble any day.
yeah, yeah, yeah. So so anyway, yeah. That I don't know if it was embarrassing, but it was troublesome. But yeah.
Yeah. All right. If
Mhm.
you could be one military leader for a day, who would that be?
If I could be with one military leader, oh my gosh. Um. Hmm, 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 hmm. You know, for me, I'm a history nerd. I mean, I love history.
Yeah.
I'm reading John Adams'
Mm.
biography right now that David McCullough wrote, and I would say George Washington. You know, I
Mm.
mean, I mean, he's not a Marine, but I mean, I
Oh
would
yeah.
really, I'd love to spend a day with that dude. And I mean, just the immensity of what he had on his shoulders,
Mm-hmm.
um, and what he had to work with in
Oh
order to
yeah.
accomplish the mission of 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 freeing ourselves from the bonds of Great Britain and sever those
Mm-hmm.
ties and defeat the British. Uh, yeah, he
Yeah.
would be one at the top of my list
Okay.
that I'd want to sit down with. Yeah.
Yeah. That's a good
Hmm.
one. That's a real good one.
Yeah.
Oh man, here she comes again.
Hmm.
All right. In the zombie apocalypse, what would be your weapon of choice and what anthem would be playing?
Oh my gosh, man, that's a good one. Jeez. My weapon would be, a tank. Shoot, an
Okay.
M60
Yeah.
tank. I mean, that's gonna be, obviously I can, lock up the hatches and fire
Yeah.
away. That kind of thing. So yeah, or just mow them down. Just drive over them.
Yeah.
That would be even
Yeah.
fun too.
True.
Just
True.
just having a heyday. Just driving over them would be fun. So yeah, so it would be my tank. It'd be an M60 tank.
Okay.
And anthem. What anthem would be playing? I guess what is it? Seven Nation Army. I guess Black. Is it the Black Keys? Seven Nation Army.
Okay. All
Yeah.
right. I like it. I
Hmm.
like it.
Yeah.
All right. What animal best describes your time in service?
Ooh, what animal best describes time in service? Hmm. That's a good one. Hmm. Oh my gosh. I guess I'm gonna say.
That's
Man,
it is a tough one. It's
that's a tough
hard.
one. I'm
Yeah.
trying to think. I'm gonna say uh, like a panther. Something
Oh,
like that.
okay.
Yeah,
All right.
because very stealthy. You know,
Yeah.
I flew underneath the radar screen, so
Mm-hmm.
nobody really saw all the conniving crap that I did. So I was
Yeah.
very stealthy in that. Obviously, I got a good cookie. I did get caught at a few things, but that was just a few of the multitude of fun things that I did. But
Yeah,
so
that
yeah, very, very very stealthy. Yeah.
yeah, I like that. That was good. That was
Hmm.
good. All
Yeah,
right.
always hidden in the. You can't see them.
Knowing what you know now, would you do it all over again?
Absolutely, absolutely. And I wish that they would have, when it was time for me to get out,
Hmm.
I knew that, hey, I'm going back to school. I wanted to be in banking since I was a little kid, which is another story.
Hmm.
But anyway, so I was, my path was going back to school, and I wish that I had talked that they had talked to me about staying in the reserves.
Oh
Uh, you
yeah.
know, but they worked me on reenlisting. They offered me a sergeant stripe, $10,000
Hmm.
signing bonus, choice of duty station, yada yada yada. And I'm like, guys, I'm going back to school. And they were just like, you're gonna fail, and you're gonna be back, and we're not gonna be able to offer you any of this stuff, all this free stuff. We're not gonna be able to offer it. You're gonna fail. And I was like, whatever, dude. That's your opinion. But I wish I'd known that. And then when I got home, hell, I didn't even know. I mean, again, I'm in my own little bubble there. In school,
Hmm.
I had no clue. The National Guard unit here in town had a M1. They had M1s. They had a tank platoon out in, in
No
Lavinia.
kidding.
Yeah, had a tank platoon out there. They had tanks here. If a National Guard person came to me and said, "Hey, we got tanks," I'd be like, "Hey, sign me up."
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
I would have
yeah.
been. I would have been there.
Wow.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Oh man.
Hmm.
Well,
Hmm.
do you have any words of wisdom you would like to leave the listeners with?
Words of wisdom. Um, life is short. You know, so we're not promised tomorrow. So make the best of each day. Don't make
Hmm.
enemies. Don't make enemies. Uh, you know, lo- lo- love and
It's a big
respect
crash in there.
everyone. I know I heard a big crash. I mean,
Sorry.
but that's all right. But just be and I talk about this in the Marine Corps League. We all need grace. We all need
Hmm.
grace in our lives. We all need to be respectful, and we all need to just the golden rule. Do unto
Hmm.
others if you have them do unto you. Just be a nice person. If
Right.
you're a nice person, niceness will come to you. You
Hmm.
will receive what you give. And so, I preach that in the Marine Corps League. There are those that don't listen, and
Hmm.
the Marine Corps League. There's no rank in the Marine Corps League.
Right.
But you're a master guns. And there's those that still want to throw that weight around like they're still a sergeant major in the Corps, and
Yeah.
there's no place for that in the league. So
Yeah. Agreed. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
yeah. Hmm.
Man, that's good words of wisdom. That was nice.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Be nice.
That's right. That's right.
Hmm.
Well, thanks for coming on and doing this, Bryce. It was much appreciated. I'm glad I got to meet you. there in Dallas for the Marine Corps League National Convention. That was a blast. So, and thanks for agreeing to do this.
Yeah. It's fun. Like I said, I'm an open book. I'm full of funny stories. Funny.
There's nothing wrong with that.
Again, I can't make this stuff up. I mean, all this stuff happened to me. Yeah. So, anyway.
Well, I like to close out everything when I'm talking about veteran suicide and ways they can get help. So to all the listeners out there, if you're struggling, need help, anything like that, please reach out. You can dial 988, press option 1. You can text 838-255, or you can go to veteranscrisisline.net and click on that chat icon. Any of those options will put you in contact with somebody that can help you out. But remember, one veteran life lost is one too many. I care about you. I know Bryce cares about you. The whole veteran community cares about you. So please reach out for help. And if you're out there, you're not struggling, reach out to the buddies you serve with. Ask them how they're doing. If they need a helping hand, please give it to them. All right, Bryce, one last time, thanks again. Much appreciated. To all the listeners out there, stay motivated. Change your socks. Government said make a